The system rests in a gravity-free space. Now, with the help of a sharp impulse, the bead is now imparted a velocity u along the tangent to the ring. Okay, so a tangential velocity is given to the ring, given to the bead. Velocity u is given with the sharp impulse. So we have to find the minimum kinetic energy of the bead in the subsequent motion. Minimum kinetic energy of bead in the
half m into capital M minus small m by capital M plus small m whole square into u square.
half into capital M.
Half into small m into capital M minus small m by capital M plus small m whole square into u square.
Okay. Capital M minus small m by capital M plus small m whole square into u square.
Yes, we can do it like yesterday we did the other question, the one in which angular velocity of the bead doesn't change. So
Okay.
with respect to center of mass, so same way we can do.
Okay. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, we can say that it will have minimum velocity at diametrically opposite point.
Diametrically opposite point. Diametrically opposite point means, okay, when the particle comes to diametrically opposite point,
Yes, sir.
like on the ring.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why like it should be diametrically opposite?
So, because from the start of the motion, it is pushing the ring, sir, due to the normal contact force
Okay.
till half of the revolution.
Okay.
After that, it is pushing in the opposite direction.
Okay.
So,
But
maximum
there is no
velocity.
friction. There is no friction between the ring and the bead.
So, I'm telling the normal force, sir.
Okay, normal force. Okay. Okay, so normal force will be in opposite direction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like, what can we say about kinetic energy then at diametrically opposite point?
So that I have to calculate.
Sir,
Yes.
the angular velocity will remain constant, no, sir, of the bead with respect to center of the ring.
Yeah.
Sir, we can also conserve momentum in all directions, no, sir. Here.
Yeah, momentum you can conserve because if you take the system, then for system there is no external force.
So, sir, if at the diametrically opposite point we have like minimum velocity, we can say its velocity relative to the center of the ring should be in opposite direction with the same magnitude, no, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And then we can do conservation of momentum and we can find velocity of ring.
Yeah.
And then we can find velocity of bead with respect to ground and just do half mv square.
Yeah. You can find velocity of bead with respect to ground by by using the velocity of bead with respect to the ring.
Plus velocity of ring.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the given question like this situation where we have a ring of mass capital M and a small bead of mass small m, which is given a velocity u, which is in tangential direction. So since the bead is given a velocity u in tangential direction, so initially ring won't be having any kinetic energy or any velocity. Initially only the bead has a velocity. Okay, so therefore we can determine what is velocity of center of mass. And one thing we can definitely say is that since this whole system is not experiencing any external force, so the center of mass of this whole system should remain with the zero acceleration. That is, the center of mass should move with a constant velocity. It would have some initial velocity here. This is the center of mass. Center of mass would have initial velocity this, and you can easily calculate velocity of center of mass, which will be into u. Okay. So center of mass velocity should be constant, and at any point of time you can say that center of the ring and the bead will lie on a line. The line joining center of the ring and the bead, center of mass will lie somewhere between them. It will lie somewhere on that line. Okay, and since center of mass moves in a straight line, so we can say that this point, center of the ring and this bead will not be moving in a straight line. They will be moving in non-linear paths. In fact, we can say that distance between center of mass and O will remain always the same, and distance between center of mass and bead also will always remain the same. So we can therefore say that both bead as well as the center of the ring should move in circular paths with respect to center. At any point of time, it should be something like this. They should be moving in circular paths with the different radii. They'll be moving with different radii, R1 and R2, but common center will be center of mass. Like it is a situation similar to one problem we did in the last class. Okay, they considered motion of two bodies with respect to their common center of mass. Okay, so here we can say that velocity of particle with respect to center of mass will be velocity of particle minus velocity of velocity of this bead with respect to center of mass will get like this. This is the initial velocity of bead with respect to center of mass, I can say. But we can also say that it will continue to move the same velocity because it moves with the same radius, okay, and it has initial speed, and as there are no tangential forces acting, so it will continue to move the same speed with respect to center of mass. And that speed we can calculate velocity of bead with respect to center of mass, which will be u minus mu by. That will be equal to capital M into u, right? That will be velocity of bead with respect to center. Okay. Now, as center of mass is moving in a straight line path like this, after some time it is possible that the bead may be here and the point O will be here. And still after some time the bead may be here and point O is exactly opposite. If the bead is here, the velocity of the bead with respect to center of mass will be directed like this. It will be perpendicular to this line OA. And velocity of center of mass is directed downwards. So at any point of time, I can say velocity of m with respect to ground should be velocity of m with respect to center of mass plus velocity of center. I'll have to take vector addition of velocity of m with respect to center of mass and velocity.
Can you please tell again?
Which one?
Sir, why is velocity of small mass with respect to center of mass constant?
Velocity of small mass with respect to center of mass will be constant because it undergoes uniform circular motion with respect to center of mass.
Why, sir?
That is because see, it starts off moving with this velocity with respect to center of mass and with this radius. Okay. And the only force which is making it move is the contact force between the ring and the mass. The contact force between the ring and the mass is the only internal force that is acting between the two bodies, which is making it move in a circular path with respect to center of mass.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only internal force which is acting And this particle, if it is having some initial velocity, so if you give it, if you take any ring and if you give a particle some initial velocity in the ring, and if you keep the ring fixed, then the particle will continue to move in like a circular path with constant speed only.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah. So
Yes.
this situation can be considered to be similar to that. Imagine suppose this is a circle. The bead moves in a circle of this radius. It moves in a circle of radius CP. Okay. And it keeps on moving like in that circular path because it is constrained to move in that circular path because center of mass can move in straight line. Okay. And so whatever initial speed has been given to the bead with respect to center of mass, it should be moving with that speed only in the circular. Okay. Only thing is direction of motion of the bead with respect to center of mass will keep changing. Direction of motion of the bead with respect to center of mass will not be always in this downward direction. It will keep changing because it is an angular motion with respect to center of mass. Okay, so the net velocity of the bead in ground reference frame should be sum of these two vectors. But since we want to find what is the minimum kinetic energy of the bead, obviously when the question is to find minimum kinetic energy of bead, one is asking with respect to ground frame only. Okay, because by default we'll take ground frame only. Okay, so since minimum kinetic energy of bead we want to know, so we have to find what is the minimum speed of the bead or minimum magnitude of velocity of the bead in ground reference frame. That means this vector should have minimum. Now, when can this vector have minimum magnitude? And if you are going to add two vectors of magnitude, one vector has this magnitude. This is velocity of bead with respect to center of mass. Other vector has this magnitude. Velocity of center of mass. So one vector has this magnitude and another vector has this magnitude, but their directions are different. Okay. So when you add such two vectors of definite magnitudes, the minimum magnitude you will get is when the vectors are in opposite directions. That means when this relative velocity is exactly opposite to these. That means when this particle with respect to center of mass or in center of mass state, when this bead has come to other side, when this bead has come onto the other side and O has come onto this side. So it will be something like this. Bead is here and O is here and center of mass. Actually, this position should be here. The center of mass position should be somewhere here because center of mass moves along this line. Okay, so when this happens, then this bead will still have velocity this way. With respect to center of mass, it will have velocity upwards and center of mass has velocity downwards. So when you add both the vectors, you will get minimum magnitude. So we can say minimum speed of bead will be minimum speed of bead that can be considered to be this mu by n plus n minus capital N u. It should be difference actually. You can take difference either way. Okay, because we don't know M or capital N which one is greater. Okay, so difference of both we can take. Okay, that will be the speed, minimum speed. Okay, so it will come out to be equal to u into m minus n. Okay, m minus m by n. I'm assuming that capital M is more than small m. Okay, ring mass is more m. So that will be minimum speed. So minimum kinetic energy we can get by taking this speed. So minimum kinetic energy should be minimum kinetic energy of bead. That will be half into n into square of this, which is u square into m minus m by m plus m. Half m u square m minus m by m plus m. That should come out with minimum kinetic energy. Of course, maximum kinetic energy of bead will be what kinetic energy it has initially. Whatever kinetic energy it has initially, that should be maximum kinetic energy. Because initially you can see that velocity of center of mass and velocity of bead relative to center of mass are in the same direction. Is it? Yeah? Okay. So the question we have here is in free space, a 4 kg shell is passes an origin of an instance frame at t equal to 0, moving with a velocity of 2.5 meters per second in the positive x direction. Okay. After some time, it explodes into 3 fragments. Okay, A, B, and C, 3 fragments. Now, fragment A having a mass of 2 kgs, B 1 kg, and C 1 kg. Okay. Okay. And at in some instant of time t equal to 10 seconds. Okay. The fragment A was observed at position. The position of A was given at 10 seconds. Some coordinates are given 85, 80, 64. And it was found to be moving with a velocity of 10 I cap plus 10 j cap plus 8 k cap meters per second. Okay. And fragment B was found at the position minus 35, 0, minus 64. And it was found to be moving in the XZ plane. Okay, fragment B was found to be moving in the XZ plane at t equal to 10 seconds. Okay, so we have to find velocity vector of fragment C at that instant. That instant means at 10 seconds.
So gravity is present, sir.
It is a gravity free space. In the starting, it is mentioned
Okay, sir.
free
Okay.
space.
So under root of 489. Sir.
Under root of 489.
Yes, I checked once, but I got the method.
Like you got something in vector form or like magnitude you got?
I got it in vector form only. Sir.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, vector is only asked. So minus 8, minus 5 I cap, minus 20 J cap, and minus 8 K caps.
Sir,
Minus 5 I cap. Okay. Minus 20 and minus 8 K cap. Okay.
sir, I got minus 45 by 8 I cap, minus
Okay.
20 J cap plus 8 K cap.
Okay. Minus 45 by 8 I cap, minus 20 J cap plus 8 K cap.
8 K cap. Minus 8 K cap, sir.
Minus 8 K cap.
Sir, based on the given information, we can say that C is projection of B only. B is projection of
C is
B is projection of C only. Sir.
B is projection of C.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because both of their x and z coordinates are same. Sir.
Okay.
Sir, does that information that it exploded somewhere in between matters? Sir?
It exploded somewhere in between. Yeah.
Like I didn't use that part of the information only. Sir. I got the answer irrespective of that.
Okay. What did you consider?
Sir,
What did you consider?
I didn't consider anything, sir. Like with respect to that sometimes, sir. I just found position of C in at t equal to 10 seconds, sir.
Position of C at t equal to 10 seconds. Okay.
Yes, sir. That I found to be exactly B and like on y-axis, but with same coordinates as B.
Okay.
So wherever those particles exploded, B and C must have got the same velocity in x and z directions. Sir.
Okay.
Now, actually, I didn't find where they exploded only, sir. So, because I know that momentum should be conserved in x and z directions also, so I found both velocities directly.
Okay.
However, for y component of C, we need to use we again with the help of A we can do that.
Yeah. Actually, you have got the coordinates of C, no? So coordinates of C, if you see, like it will come out to be
Minus 35 and some other coordinate y
minus
coordinate.
35, minus 35 I cap.
Yes, sir. Minus 35 I cap is coordinate of C. Sir. Minus 35 some J cap and minus 64 K cap.
Okay. Similar coordinates you got.
Yes, sir. Similar coordinates you got. Because center of mass should be at 25 meters. Sir.
Yeah.
based on that, it comes out to be minus 35, minus 64 only.
Okay.
In fact, now I can tell at what time they actually exploded. Sir.
Okay. But I think we can find out that also.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what do you mean by the motion of B is the projection of motion of C, sir?
Motion of B is projection of motion of C.
So just like someone said.
Motion of B means like if you want to project say motion of B say in XY plane. Okay, then you take a component of its displacement in the XY plane.
Okay,
Means
sir.
if you want to project it in any particular direction, say if you find that a particular body is moving in 3 dimensions and you want to find its projection say in XY plane. Okay, then at any point of time, like you take its net displacement vector and you project it, or you take its projection on the XY.
Okay, yes, sir. Understood.
And
Okay.
then like you see what along what line in the XY plane it is moving.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay, so here the information using the information that is given in the question, if you work from that. So what we have is like initially that fragment was having, the shell was having 4 kg mass and it was moving along x-axis with 2.5 meters per second. Okay, and 10 seconds later, we have 3 fragments, A and B. Their position coordinates are given like this, and A has this velocity. This is velocity of A. 10I plus 10J plus K. Okay, and we want to find velocity vector of C at that particular time. Okay, so what we can do here is it must be somewhere here at 10 seconds. If there were no explosion, it would have been over here. The center of mass would be over here at 10 seconds. It would be at position 25,0. Assuming that it moves with 2.5 meters per second velocity. That should be the position of center of mass after 10 seconds. Okay, that should be position of center of mass even if explosion, because explosion involves only internal forces. Okay. Now since position of A and B are given, so we can find position of C also using center of mass concept. Okay, so you can find XC, YC and ZC. So we can just say 85 into this mass of A is given to be 2 kg, and mass of B and mass of C are 1 kg. So we get 85 into 2 and then minus 35 into 1. And here we will get XC by the total mass, which is this is equal to 25. The x coordinate of center of mass is 25. So using this, we can find XC. The coordinates we will get
Minus 30.
I think we'll get coordinates to be 35.
Minus 35.
Minus 30.
Minus 35. XC comes out to be minus 30. Similarly, we can find YC because y coordinate of the center of mass is 0. So we can equate 0 to 80 into, and then we have okay. So we can get YC also. So YC comes out to be minus 160. Okay. YC comes out to be minus 160. Okay, and then we can find ZC. Z coordinate center of mass is 0.
Yes.
Right.
ZC also comes out to minus 64.
ZC comes out to be minus 60.
Yes.
Minus 64.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So minus 64. Okay. So coordinates of the three coordinates of C we have got XC, YC, and ZC. Minus 35, minus 160, and minus 64. Okay. Velocity of A also we know. This is given as velocity of A. So one thing we can do is, let us suppose that if the explosion has taken place at some point T here, if the shell has moved till here and it has taken place at a time T equal to T0. Okay, let's assume that it has taken place at time T equal to T0. And if it has taken place at T equal to T0, then till time T equal to T0, the shell would have moved a distance of 2.5 into T0. So this point should be having a coordinates of 2.5 T0, comma 0, comma. The point where explosion takes place. Now from this point onwards, shell A will move in a straight line path. It will move with a constant velocity, which is equal to 10I plus 10G plus 10. Okay, so that means if I to 2.5 T0, if I add like a 10 times the remaining time, because the remaining time out of 10 seconds will be 10 minus T. Okay, so if I add to 2.5 T0, or if I just say 2.5 T0 plus 10 minus 15 into velocity of A in x direction, which is 10. Okay, so this should give you final x coordinate of A. Okay, final x coordinate of A, which comes out to be 85. So this should be it. So I think we can find out the instant of time T0 when the explosion has actually taken place from this equation. So it will come out to 2.5 T0 minus 10 T0. That is giving you minus 7.5. Okay, and minus 7.5 T0, and here we have 100 and 85. So it is minus 50. So T0 comes out 2 seconds. Okay, so T equal 2 seconds, the explosion must have taken place. Okay, so now using that, we can find velocity of B also. Like, for finding velocity of B, all we can do is that this was the position of center of mass. From this position, B has moved to this position. Okay, B has moved to this position, and the x coordinate of B has become minus 35 from 2.5 T0. Okay, and Z coordinate has changed into this. So we can say that the change in x coordinate of B by the time for which B has traveled, that B has traveled for 8 seconds. Okay, that should be velocity of B in x direction. Okay, so I can say minus 35 minus this 2.5 T0. This is change in x coordinate of B, minus 35 minus 2.5. This should be equal to velocity of B in x direction, BBX, into A. BBX into A. And we can take T as 2 seconds. This. Okay, so this comes out to be minus 40 by A. Velocity of B in x direction will be minus 5.
Even this should be velocity of C also, VCX.
Yeah.
They have same
So now you can find velocity of B in Y and Z directions also. And then like as you already know what is velocity of A, you can just use center of mass concept, because velocity of center of mass is fixed. It is 2.5 meters per second. Okay, so MA VA plus MB VB plus MC VC should be equal to total mass into velocity of center of mass. Right? So like we have got velocity of B in x direction, we can find other components of velocity of B also, Y and Z components also. So you will get. Okay. Similarly, the final y coordinate of B is 0, and initially it was initially y coordinate was 0. So that means the velocity of B in y direction should be anyway 0, and velocity of B in z direction, final y coordinate is minus 64, and initial z coordinate is 0. So it should come out to be minus 64 by 2. 8 seconds. In 8 seconds, like it has traveled a distance of -64 in negative z direction. So this is the -8. Okay, so velocity of v would come out to be equal to -5 by -3. Okay, and also since we know VA and VB, so we can find so we can just use this like 4 into VA bar plus we have VB bar plus VC bar equal to 4 into 2.5. So using momentum conservation, we can get this 4 into VA bar. So VA bar and VB bar we have determined, so we can find VC. Okay. In fact, actually, we found out what is the position of C, but we did not require to actually find the position of C also. It wasn't required. Like you could do without that, because using the fact that we know position of A and velocity of A, you can determine the time when collision has explosion has taken place, and using that you can find velocity of B, and then we can determine velocity.
Either we need to determine time or we need to determine like location of C.
Yeah, because after determining position of C, like we were able to conclude something, but that was because like the position values were being given like that. But in general, like if there were some other like set of values also instead of this, if the motions were not like projection of one or the other, then in that case, like general like approach would be like to try to figure out what the time when the collision explosion has taken place, and for that we require to know what is velocity of A and the position.
Yes.
Is it, Jim? Any doubts? If you have any other doubts, you can ask. Like you can share them also.
Sir. Sir.
Yes.
Sir, what do you mean by cutoff potential, sir? Like in modern physics, sir, what do you mean by cutoff potential?
Cutoff potential.
Yes, sir.
In what context?
Sir, like the question, sir. 1 second, sir.
Which question?
Sir, question number 4, sir.
Can you enlarge it a little?
1 second, sir. Okay, sir.
Photoelectric experiment, wavelength of incident light is decreased 6,000 to 4,000 angstroms, while the intensity of radiation remains the same. The cutoff potential will decrease, cutoff potential will increase, the photoelectric current will increase. I think in this context, like the cutoff potential, probably it is trying to say the same as the stopping potential.
Okay, sir.
Okay, because like the potential is something you can stop the photoelectrons by applying a potential.
Yes, sir.
And that potential like depends upon what is the incident like photon wavelength.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So is there stopping potential, sir, in this case?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So in this case, see, when the wavelength is reduced, what will happen to stopping potential?
It should, sir.
Because when the wavelength is decreased, energy of photon will increase.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If energy of photon is increased, then in this, it
Kinetic
means that the
energy.
maximum kinetic energy also will increase.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And which means the stopping potential also has to increase.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks.
Actually, stopping potential is not the term we generally use. Use like the term this stopping potential rather than cutoff like potential. The term cutoff we have come across like when we were studying.
Cutoff wavelength.
Yeah, cutoff wavelength in X-rays.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
That is the minimum wavelength of X-rays.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Sir, I have one doubt. Can I ask?
Yes.
Sir,
Yeah.
if we have an infinitely long copper tube and we drop a bar magnet through it, like in the final state, what will happen, sir?
It will attain some velocity.
Will
Terminal
that be
velocity.
constant, sir?
It will be constant.
Okay.
Because what happens is the copper tube is very long. Okay. So if the copper tube is very long, that iron bar you put. No. So as it starts moving down, induced EMF will set up. Okay. And because of which, according to Lenz's law, there will be an opposing force acting on the bar. So there will be an upward force acting on the bar, which will oppose the gravitational force. And so therefore acceleration will reduce. Okay. It will
Yes.
move down, but with lesser acceleration. But as it continues to move, the force will also increase in magnitude because the speed is increasing. As the speed increases, the force also will increase in magnitude.
Yes.
Okay. And the opposing force will increase in magnitude. And so sooner or later, the opposing force will be able to completely nullify force of gravity. Okay. And once that state is achieved, velocity will be constant.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, right. So we'll close the session for here for today, and we'll continue in the next session.